What's a Braille display? A Braille display can be sorted into three categories. Number 1, an accessible computer or computer-like environment that consists of a Braille display, as in the physical panel that runs across the bottom of the top face of the device. These machines are usually called note-takers or Braille PDAs depending on how advanced their features are. Not only do these machines contain physical Braille display panels, but they also contain a Braille display, or terminal, mode that outputs Braille from third-party devices like smartphones, tablets, and computers, provided that these devices are being used with screen readers. You can also use the Braille or QWERTY keyboard, using the letters S, D, F, J, K, and L, to input both text and commands. Number 2, a device that is dedicated to its use as a Braille terminal, but consists of bare-bones apps such as a notepad-style text editor that can only create and / or open either digital Braille or plain text files. The only things you can do are read and write, no advanced editing features like inserting foot and / or endnotes or performing spell checks or word count. The same rule applies that because it contains a keyboard, when used as a display, said keyboard can be used to input text and commands into third-party computers. Despite the text editor being limited in its functionality, a great use for it is its potential to be used to read digital Braille books that are either stored on the display itself or on a memory card, rather than reading books in terminal mode. Except in rare cases, you are less than likely to see a QWERTY keyboard on one of these devices. You are bound to work with either a 6 or 8-dot Braille keyboard. Number 3, a standalone device whose sole function is as a Braille terminal. No other functions or apps, bare bones or otherwise. You connect to your third-party device, receive Braille output, and if it contains a keyboard, you can input text and commands. Any books that are read on these are read via whatever combination of third-party hardware and software you are using at the moment. Features of a Braille display. Most Braille displays, whether note-takers or Braille PDAs, dummy displays, or standalone terminals, have the same features. The keyboard, the display itself, and some form of navigation system for controlling the actual Braille. While these navigation systems and the button/keyboard commands that control them may vary, they usually consist of 3 sets of commands: keyboard commands, physical navigation buttons, and cursor routers. Keyboard commands are used for deliberate movement throughout a book or document, such as moving by sentence, paragraph, page, etc. You may be asking yourself at this moment, if the keyboard can be used for navigation, why have physical navigation buttons? The answer is because while Braille displays vary in width, 18 cells, 20 cells, 32 cells, 40 cells, etc., one thing they have in common is that until recently, they were only a single line long, which basically means when you get to the end of a single line of Braille, you need a way to advance the display forward or backward so you can continue reading, which is what the navigation buttons are for. On most models, the Braille navigation buttons are placed in a convenient area near the Braille display so you can keep your hands on the Braille while advancing, or panning, the display. Another nice feature is that this set of navigation buttons, besides containing forward and backward advance, might also contain up and down buttons that can both be used for document or menu navigation. When used in a document, you can set up and down to work however you see fit, by sentence, paragraph, line, page, or even by bookmark. Last but definitely not least, cursor routers are special buttons that give you even more deliberate control over navigation than the keyboard does. Cursor routers, as the name implies, are located above each Braille cell of a display and will route the cursor to whichever cell you pressed one for. These buttons especially come in handy while editing a document or in any other case when you might need to insert or delete text at the current cursor location. In some cases, you can use the cursor routers to activate menu options, which especially comes in handy during menu usage via the navigation buttons. When using a Braille display as a terminal, you establish a wired connection, usually via USB, or wireless connection, usually via Bluetooth. Then you configure your screen reader's Braille settings for things such as which display you are using, whether it is a wired or wireless connection, and which grade of Braille you would like to use for input and / or output. You can have both input and output set to the same grade of Braille. In most cases, however, you can have separate grades of Braille configured, such as computer Braille for input and contracted Braille for output. Once the connection is established and the Braille settings are to your liking, you can use Braille to read and communicate with your computer. Please note that if you are using a note-taker, dummy display, or any other display with a niche operating system or environment, that the commands may differ when using terminal. Consult your manual for use of your Braille display's built-in features.